need to stop saving. And trust me, I know what you're thinking. My parents always told me to save. And usually, your parents are right, but not this time. Your parents are right that, yeah, you should save. They weren't right about how much or for how long. Let me break this down for you. Every time you save, you're either putting money into a bank or a credit union. That money is usually deposited into a savings account, and that savings account will pay you just for having money there. This is what's known as your interest, and banks and credit unions will usually pay you just under 1% interest. Sounds like a great deal, right? The bank is literally paying you just to keep your money there. But here's what your parents didn't tell you. You see, our money loses value over time due to inflation. Inflation is the steady rise of price in goods and services over time. This is exactly why your grandfather could go see a movie for 10 cents. Or why your parents could fill up at the pump for less than $1. Inflation rises every year. It's a given. The price of goods and services usually goes up between 2 to 3%. So that interest rate of less than 1% isn't looking too good right now. Let me show you an example. Let's say you save $500 a month for the next 30 years. At the end of the 30 years, you'd have around $180,000. Sounds like a lot of money, right? Here's the problem. Remember that inflation thing we talked about earlier? The price of goods and services goes up every year, which means the value of your money goes down. That $180K you have in the bank will not be able to buy you what you think it can, because the price in goods and services went up about 2 to 3% every year. And remember, your bank gave you a less than 1% interest rate, which means for every $100 you put in, they gave you back 50 cents to $1. Now look, saving money isn't all bad. You just need to know when to do it. If you're looking to make a major purchase like buying a house, buying a new or used car, saving makes a lot of sense. This way you don't hurt your credit with financing or bring yourself down with new debt. It also makes sense to save for an emergency. Life happens and things break, so it's important to have a savings fund to protect yourself in case of an emergency. However, once you've saved enough to where your monthly obligations would be covered in an emergency, you don't need to save anymore. Instead, you'll want to put your money where it's going to beat inflation. Remember that example I told you about earlier? If you invested $500 into an index fund, which is basically just an account that mimics certain markets on Wall Street, you could get a return of around 7 to 10%. That means by the end of 30 years, you'll have over $1 million instead of $180K. That means your money is making money over time instead of losing value. You should save your money, but only for emergencies and for the things you want today. But if you think your savings will make you wealthy for tomorrow, they won't. Instead, you should invest your money if you want it to grow. So yeah, your parents were right. But if they ever ask you why you stopped saving, just tell them